This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Today at T-Mobile, I'm joined by a special co-anchor.
What up, everybody? It's your boy, Big Snoop Deal Double G.
Snoop, where can people go to find great deals?
Head to T-Mobile.com and get 4 iPhone 16s with Apple Intelligence on us, plus 4 lines for $25.
That's quite a deal, Snoop. And when you switch to T-Mobile, you can save versus the other big guys' comparable plans plus streaming.
Respect. When we up out of here.
See how you can save on wireless and streaming versus the other big guys at T-Mobile.com/switch. Apple Intelligence requires iOS 18.1 or later.
I can say to my new Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra, hey, find a keto-friendly restaurant nearby and text it to Beth and Steve. And it does, without me lifting a finger. So I can get in more squats anywhere I can. 1, 2, 3.
Will that be cash or credit?
Credit. 4.
Galaxy S25 Ultra, the AI companion that does the heavy lifting so you can do you. Get yours at Samsung.com. Compatible with select apps. Requires Google Gemini account. Results may vary based on input. Check responses for accuracy.
Wonder-working power in the precious...
Incredible as they seem, are not the results of mass hysteria.
You may wish to adjust the dial. You're currently tuned into
the wrong station.
Kev waves off the screen. He doesn't need it. Dribbles hard twice, then drops the feisty guard on his ass with a wicked low crossover, the ball swinging past his shins. Defense collapses into the lane, but it's too late. Kev is already airborne, whirling his arms around and through outstretched limbs just to kiss the ball off the glass and through the rim. The crowd cheers, except for the guy in the dark glasses sitting courtside. He just writes something on a little red notepad. Next possession, the feisty guard applies pressure, gets right up in his chest. Kev just steps around him. 6'5" with strong legs and flexible hips. Kev can step around a damn city bus. The guard allegedly swipes at the ball, but instead his fingernails open 4 deep gashes on Kev's arm. Kev winces. Medical timeout. Coach wraps the arm in gauze. Kev jogs on the sideline as he does, keeping his heart rate up, keeping the fire burning. Kev nails both free throws, then nods at the guard who gives him an ugly look. The guy in the dark glasses writes something else in his red notebook. Coming up the court, the feisty guard is sick of Kev. Kev grins. This is the moment he waits for every game, the moment he gets to show everyone that they aren't on his level, that this isn't serious to him. It's playtime. The feisty guard tries to bait Kev with a crossover. Kev obliges, swinging his hand in a slow arc towards the ball. The guard goes to a behind-the-back dribble as he starts his drive to the basket, except the ball never arrives in his other hand. It's traveling in the opposite direction at 33 kilometers an hour, secure in Kev's dribble. Kev glances over at the guy in dark glasses. Let's give him a show. He leaps from a step inside the free throw line and does a graceful half spin in midair before slamming the ball home. The buzzer goes. 93-50. State championship. The crowd rushes in from the stands, hoists the team into the air. Kev barely notices. His eyes are on the guy in the dark glasses. The only one still sitting. Still writing in that little red notebook. Kev knows how this works. This isn't the first scout he's met with. He waits for him to show up in the locker room, make an offer for whatever college or overseas squad he represents. Only this time, the guy never does. Kev shrugs and packs his gym bag. His team's power forward is hosting an after party. Kev knows this is the greatest moment of the power forward's life. That after this, he's working at his dad's grocery store. His height and strength mean nothing now. They only matter to the high shelves and heavy boxes of cleaning supplies. The greatest day of his life, and it's only because he was lucky enough to know Kev. Kev goes to the party. He sleeps in the next morning, his feet just barely sticking over the end of his too small bed. The house isn't much, but his mom and dad have been strutting around like peacocks since the D1 scholarship offers started rolling in. Their fingers are itchy for Kev's payday. It's not their fault, but Kev wishes they could see what really matters. Kev doesn't read the story about the state championships in the local paper, which his mom has already cut out and put on the fridge. He doesn't need a second-hand account of his heroics. He doesn't check the scouting websites to see if his draft stock has risen. His agent warned him about buying his own hype. Instead, Kev goes outside and does what he always does. He shoots hoops. The house backs onto a ravine. A stream runs through it when it rains, carrying trash from all around the city. It takes just one giant step and Kev is over the chain-link fence that lines the rear of the backyard. The air is cool and humid here. Bugs and pollen float lazily in the air. Kev jumps the stream and comes up the other side, back into the sun, right next to a little half-sized asphalt court. Free throw, swish. Teardrop layup, swish. Top of the key, swish. Corner three, swish. This court is set way back in a public park that gashes through this neighborhood. It's almost entirely hidden. The ravine on one side, woods behind, and then a copse of fast-growing sumac blocks it from the picnickers to the south. Step back, swish. Spin off an imaginary screen, up fake, push shot, swish. Sham God, reverse layup, swish. The ball doesn't bounce back to Kev's hand like it does on the waxed gym floors. Dandelions and maple seeds sprout from the deep cracks in the asphalt. Playing here is like playing on the street after an earthquake. The scouts love his hand-eye coordination. He never loses control. Turnaround, high release point, falling away at the elbow, swish. Full speed sprint into dead stop pull-up, swish. Crossover, put the defender on your back, press forward. Not bad, kid. Not bad. Kev finishes the move. The ball thuds off the mildewed backboard and caroms away. You missed that one. The dark glasses hide his eyes, but Kev imagines them crinkled with mild laughter. Humiliation burns at his neck. Yeah, well, you distracted me. Kev puts his hand out for the ball. Dark glasses tosses it back. It hits a crack and takes a bad bounce. But Kev is ready. His huge mitt snags the ball like a lion swatting a fly. There's those reflexes I heard about. Dark Glasses is eyeing Kev up and down now. And your game is good. Raw. But who isn't at 17? Kev goes back to shooting. Dark Glasses keeps talking. You're dominating these kids. You should be. They're smaller than you, weaker than you. When you get to the pros, it'll be different. You'll be lucky to even stay on the court with those guys. In the NBA, you're the kid. Dark Glasses lets that sit for a minute. Kev keeps shooting. He's heard it before. Ain't you gonna ask me who I am? Says Dark Glasses. Kev doesn't look over. Listen, man, I saw you at the game. You're a scout. Just go talk to my agent. I'm trying to practice. I'm not a scout. Not the way you're thinking. Kev looks at Dark Glasses carefully for the first time. He's not a young man, maybe 50. The heavy build of a retired athlete who hasn't kept up on training reminds him of the old NBA players running the basketball camps he went to as a preteen. I work for Optimum, the athlete development lab. Kev knows Optimum, knows the players who passed through their system, watched how they took leaps forward. They made the NBA, they got the contracts, they fulfilled their potential. We work with the best, and the best don't stop working. They don't take time off, says Dark Glasses. I'm here for you, Kev, but only if you want it bad enough. Kev waits for him to say more, but that's the whole pitch. A grasshopper saws away somewhere in the sumac patch. The stream in the ravine trickles by. Kev presses the toe of his left shoe against the heel of the right and slips his foot out. He takes off the left shoe as well. You can tell the socks used to be white, but that was a long time ago. Now they're stained a mottled brown. Kev takes the socks off. Dark Glasses raises his eyebrows. When did that happen? He says. Kev's feet are destroyed, swollen to twice their usual size and covered in bruises. 2 of his toenails are pitch black, and 2 others are missing entirely. Blood and pus flow freely down both his Achilles tendons from 2 weeping blisters on his ankles. 3 years ago, says Kev. Like you said, man, I don't take time off. Dark Glasses tosses him a card. It falls well short, but Kev's big paw snags it before it hits the asphalt. Dark Glasses grins. The card is brushed black aluminum. Heavy. It only says Optimum and an address. No name or title. Kev flips it over. There's a small RFID chip on the other side. That'll get you into the building. Show up whenever you're ready, Kev. We'll be waiting. Dark Glasses walks off through the park. Kev turns back to his court. It's almost lunchtime. His mom is expecting him. He almost leaves, but the conversation with Dark Glasses is still in his head. He'll head back eventually. He just needs to make 10 more shots. No, 100 more. Optimum looks just like the card. Black metal, heavy, important, exclusive. Kev's parents are enjoying a comped meal at a nearby Michelin-starred sushi place. One of the many ways Optimum woos young talent. Kev's agent leads him to the doors, then bows out, saying Optimum was very clear he couldn't enter. Something about proprietary technology. So Kev stands alone in front of the smoky glass doors. Inside, he can see a shadow or 2 walking around. He taps the RFID chip against the handle and the lock clicks open. Kev pushes his way through. Whatever shadows he saw, they're gone now. The lobby is empty. Optimum's mystique begins to fade. It looks like an expensive gym. Most of the machines have some sort of tech nearby. Treadmills with gait monitors, weight rack that tracks your form. He likes the rowing machine, with its CPAP-like tubes that measure your oxygen efficiency. On the walls are some signed photos of athletes, each strapped to Optimum equipment. Kev circles around admiring the photos. A former American League MVP, a gold medalist swimmer, 2 All-NBA selections from last year. Kev feels a hunger growing in his guts, an itching in his skull. This is where he belongs, on this wall. A hand slaps down on his shoulder. Kev flinches. How do you like the place? He's still wearing the dark glasses, even indoors. Kev answers honestly. Cool pics? Basic machines? Is this all you've got, man? Dark Glasses laughs. But we can't leave the best stuff out here, where anyone can see it. Right, Kev? Gotta leave something to the imagination. Kev smiles a bit at that. Dark Glasses smiles back. Let me show you the real shit. A door leads out from the lobby into a hallway. Gone is the black and smoky glass. Instead, blinding fluorescents chase darkness out of every corner. Hospital curtains fall from the ceiling to the floor, crinkling in the breeze created by humidity-controlled central air. 2 curtains flutter apart and Kev glimpses a computer server and some medical-looking wires next to an old CRT TV before the gap closes. He slows down for a second to ask a question, but Dark Glasses is already 2 turns ahead of him. Kev picks up his stride. The buzzing of the lights is already giving him a bit of a headache. No wonder this guy wears sunglasses all the time. The 2 of them twist and turn through the halls. The curtains are like the walls of a labyrinth, but Dark Glasses knows exactly where the center is. They don't pass a single other person, so Kev just hopes he doesn't have to leave by himself after this. Consultation? Meet and greet? He realizes he isn't sure. Finally, they arrive at some open curtains. Dark Glasses makes a show of gesturing Kev inside. The room contains some of the monitoring tools Kev saw out in the lobby area. They look modified somehow. No, not modified. They have the appearance of something cutting edge, something new, maybe even pre-patent. The heart rate electrodes have additional wires. The CPAP-like machine has more tubes feeding into more secret parts of the visual monitor. The treadmill is hooked up to a headpiece made of aluminum, pin-cushioned with more electrodes. "Take a seat, Kev," says Dark Glasses. "I'll give you the full pitch." "It's not just about getting paid," says Dark Glasses. "Optimum only works with the best so that they can help them become the best of the best. Competition is at the heart of athletics, and athletics is at the heart of what it means to be human. There's a reason we tune in to watch sports, because there's a chance we'll see something we've never seen, that no one has ever seen before. And Optimum wants to be the reason these impossible things happen. They ensure athletes achieve their potential, as much as possible anyway." Kev nods through the whole spiel. He's heard versions of this before, but maybe not this intense. Froth keeps bubbling up at the edges of Dark Glasses' mouth, almost spitting. He cares deeply, maybe even as deeply as Kev. Finally, Dark Glasses finishes. He steadies himself against a chair in the corner. "All right," says Kev. "Let's get started." Dark Glasses grins. He hands Kev the aluminum headpiece. "This is just the first crown you'll wear, kid," he says. "The next one will be made of gold." It only takes a few minutes to strap on the various electrodes. Dark Glasses hustles back and forth, checking minute things that Kev doesn't understand. He taps on a power bar with his foot, and a low thrum fills the room. Kev looks for the source of the sound, but the cord snakes under the curtain, off to some unexplored part of Optimum. Dark Glasses explains. "Server banks," he says. "One for each athlete. We collect hundreds of gigs of data. Perfection isn't cheap. I can show you our electric bill." Dark Glasses turns to the aluminum headpiece and has Kev stand on the treadmill. The headpiece vibrates. It's not like the buzz from the fluorescence. It's a purr. Kev's head feels warm and cozy. He closes his eyes for a moment. Dark Glasses snaps in his face. It can have that effect on first-timers. Ready to get some baseline readings? Kev gets on the treadmill and starts running. Slowly, Dark Glasses pushes him into a full sprint. The whole time, he keeps checking behind the curtain, looking at whatever the server bank is reading out. Kev speeds up. They want data? He'll give them some real data. The headpiece hums louder, like a crowd cheering him on. Kev wakes up, exhausted. His body aches like nothing he's ever felt. Arms and legs are both tight. His knee cracks as he flexes it, pointing his toes, which don't seem to want to point as far down as they usually do. He feels heavier, like how he felt the one time he got hammered at a varsity basketball party and woke up with a hangover. He tries to roll out of bed, but somehow it doesn't work. There's more bed than before. He rolls again and finds the edge. He swings his legs out. The feet that hit the floor don't feel familiar. The floor doesn't feel familiar either. It's soft and cold. Cold despite mid-June temperatures in a house that doesn't have AC. As if reading his mind, he hears a pleasant whir as the AC that doesn't exist hums to life. Kev opens his eyes for the first time. The floor is solid wood and made from long, unbroken planks. They look old, like the church pews on Sunday. The AC is in a clunky window unit. Central air wafts around his ankles, raising a clutch of goosebumps on his legs. Despite the chill, a band of sweat forms on Kev's forehead. This is not his house. Kev can't remember how he got here from Optimum. He closes his eyes and thinks hard. The last thing he remembers was the jogging test, getting baseline readings. His clothes are nowhere to be found, so he throws on a pair of jersey cotton shorts and a plain t-shirt. His stomach gives an ugly lurch. The underwear he's wearing aren't his either. Kev opens the bedroom door. The hallway outside is lined with glass. Through it, Kev sees a mass of green trees and a trickling stream running along smooth stone. The hallway is raised so that the stream can flow beneath the house. On a better day, it would be beautiful. He dashes down the hall into the main house. It's large and well lit by the natural light pouring in through large windows on each wall. Framed basketball jerseys fill the space between windows. Some are signed. Others have his last name. Kev doesn't stop to wonder. He looks for an exit, but the rooms connect through off-center hallways and curving passages. He can't see from one room to another. He can't tell which hall leads to an exit and which leads deeper into the building. He pushes open a promising door and is met with a toilet, a basin sink, and a clawfoot tub. But what stops him cold is the mirror. Kev sees himself looking back, but it's not him. No, it can't be. It doesn't make sense. The face is old. Gray hair speckles his scalp. The body is not long and wiry, but barreled and dense. Kev touches his face. The reflection does the same. Above the towel rack is a framed article. The headline describes his fourth quarter heroics in a regular season NBA game. A game his brain somehow thinks is from 9 years ago, even though Kev knows this date is 5 years in the future. A realization starts to dawn on him. No, it's impossible. This is just a mistake, just a misunderstanding, like showing up to the wrong court at an AAU tournament. Someone just needs to point him in the right direction. He just needs to talk to a grown-up, any grown-up. Kev looks back to the mirror. He is that grown-up. Kev doesn't know what to do, so he screams. It tears through him, shaking his guts until he pukes into the basin sink, tasting the acidic remnants of some meal he didn't eat, couldn't have eaten. The scream doesn't stop. Kev drags his manicured nails down his arm, drawing droplets of blood as he tries to wake up. Wake up. The scream is a living thing pulling itself out of his throat, only to die wet and panicky on the floor when Kev's lungs finally give out. And when he stops screaming, he's still here. 14 years in the future with no memory of how he got here and no way of getting back. Without even thinking about it, Kev starts to read the framed article. He scored 13 points in the fourth quarter of a close game. A close, regular season game. And despite the sick feeling in his guts, there's an irritation brewing. This is the headline he framed? This was the game he thought was worth remembering forever? He sets that aside. Kev finds a desktop computer. Doesn't even notice that he seems to instinctively know the password. He opens a browser tab. None of the articles about his career mention amnesia. He had a few injuries, sure, but they're all ankle and wrist stuff. No big shots to the head. Even then, would that explain this? He's only looking for injury news, but it's impossible not to read the details. On balance, he had a good NBA career. Nobody serious would say otherwise. 7 points per game across over 700 games, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, Averaged 20 minutes of playing time with 5 different franchises. 9 years in the league total, with a couple seasons of overseas ball. Never got badly hurt. Went to an NBA Finals once, usually the first or second guy off the bench. Hell, he even started a couple of seasons for crappy teams. All in all, better than most. Gone are the fawning articles from the local sports pages talking about how he's the next big thing. In the big leagues, he was barely worth a mention in the game recap. Maybe 2 or 3 lines if he played really well. Those games were few and far between. There are occasional interviews with local journalists from whenever he got traded or signed a new deal. Kev watches one to see if he talks differently, acts differently, if there's any hint of what happened. No. That's him. That's his voice. It's just older, more refined. He's so vague in these interviews, talking in cliches. Why? Is it a side effect from whatever happened? No. Media training? His agent told him he'd need it when he goes pro. Kev swallows hard and closes the browser. He hadn't noticed the desktop background before, but he does now. It's him, with 2 kids. An older boy and a little girl. They're all smiling at the camera. Both the kids have his smile, his eyes. It's obvious. He'd never thought about having kids before. Kev stands up, turns away. Okay, it's not a brain injury. It's not amnesia. It has to be something. This kind of shit doesn't just happen. And then Kev is pulled back to his most recent memory. Running on the treadmill. Dark glasses at the machine. Optimum. Kev opens a new browser window. Optimum has been closed for over 2 years. Kev does what he should have done yesterday. He looks into dark glasses. A sea of faces in the About section of the defunct website. At least 4 of them could be dark glasses. Depends on when in the past 11 years the photos were taken. He searches the names separately. Looks for older pictures. He finds him. Richard Louvalis. Kinesiologist who moved to product development. Wife, 1 kid, died last year. Heart attack. It's a generous obituary. Louvalis treated his family well, worked hard, was taken too soon. The photo is the first time Kev sees him without the sunglasses. His eyes are kind, green. Kev closes the tab in disgust. More tabs now. There are no exposés about Optimum. There is no chatter about their practices on any NBA forums or rumor sites. Nothing that indicates they were anything other than a good training facility that was eaten up by rising cost and mismanagement. No former players speaking out. No federal investigations. Nothing. Kev throws the mouse across the room. It explodes against the far wall. The house is quiet except for the sound of an unfamiliar stream. Kev looks down at his body. He flexes his bicep. The wiry muscle is gone. The defined bulge is missing. It looks like the arms of all the dads he used to see at the parks when he was practicing. Dads lifting their kids above their heads. He looks back at the monitor. Same background picture. Those 2 kids some other Kev decided to have while stealing his life away from him. Kev flexes his bicep again. He can fix this. He can fix this. He has to fix this. We're home. A sing-song voice echoes through the mansion, finding Kev still at the computer. He startles, for a moment thinking that his mom is about to tell him to stop watching highlight videos and focus on homework. But he's 33 now, and rich, and retired. There's a photo on the wall of an attractive woman wearing his jersey courtside, much older than Kev is. Was. Footsteps climb the stairs now. "Hey, babe," she says. She looks the same as the photo. The younger kid is holding her hand. Kev's younger kid. "You're not dressed yet?" Kev can play it cool. Of course. He might not have media training, but he's been interviewed before. He looks her in the eyes. A torrent of memories hits him. First date. First kiss. Waving at her in the stands. Mother's Day. Her in labor. Sex. Romance. Movie nights. For a moment, he truly loves and trusts her. He wants to tell her all the fucked up stuff that happened. He is her husband. They do have a life together. It's all true. He looks away, trying to stem the tide, and meets his daughter's eyes. A second torrent hits him. This one is shorter, but even more intense. Oh God. His eyes well up as he remembers her birth, her first steps, her first words. He feels giddy for a moment, like he can't wait to see who she'll be. In that moment, he knows he would do anything for her. Kev clenches his fist, fighting to hold on to what he knows to be true. The faucet turns off. The feelings fade as quickly as they came. The memories retreat to the background, still there, but so distant he can barely connect to them, like an echo from someone very far away trying to get your attention. He smiles at them, the two complete strangers who he knows better than anyone else. Oh, yeah, just got lost on the computer. She peers around his shoulder and Kev isn't wide enough to block her view of the stats page he had open. His own stats page. She smirks. Reliving the glory days, huh? She gives him a friendly slap on the shoulder. Kev winces. No glory about it. Yeah. More footsteps and a kid, probably about 10, appears at the top of the stairs. He's carrying a book that's about as thick as he is. The back advertises that it'll teach you to make your own video games in 2 weeks. The faucet blasts open again, and even though he's ready for it, the flood nearly throws Kev off his chair. Birth, first steps, first words, but so much more as well. Birthday parties, father-son chats, homework, science projects, camping trips, microscopes, building Legos, piggyback rides. This kid is his everything. He is. He is. There's no corner of Kev's heart where he doesn't live. And then it all recedes. It dies away and Kev is himself again. Hey, Dad, he says. Mom, are we going to the zoo tomorrow or not? Settle down, kiddo, she says. Be nice. I have a test Monday. She looks at Kev, grinning about a private joke between the two of them that Kev has no context for. He fakes a grin. We'll go early so you have time to study. I promise. The 10-year-old runs off. Suddenly a thought occurs to Kev. Hey, babe, I was thinking about reaching out to, some of the folks from the old days. Where'd I put those files? It's all in storage in the basement, she says, reaching down to rub her daughter's back. The kid never takes her eyes off Kev. Go say hi to Daddy, she says. But the kid doesn't move, just stares at him. Kev stares back, then opens his arms like he's seen parents do at the park. Come here. Kev's subconscious supplies the name, Maya. Maya buries her face in her mother's skirt. She's so shy today, says Kev's wife. Michelle. Her name is Michelle. The little girl pokes her head out from behind the skirt. Her eyes are still locked on Kev. Kev gives Maya a weak smile she doesn't return as he walks past them both on his way to the basement. The eyes follow. Optimum is a true dead end. Kev leaves the home of the former owner with exactly no new information. He couldn't outright say the words, mind control. He would have been seen as crazy, another ex-pro addicted to pills or coke or whatever. Instead, he vaguely threatened to expose what Louvalis had been up to. The owner asked if Louvalis had done anything inappropriate with him. He seemed deeply concerned, told Kev they would do whatever it took to make it right. Kev didn't know what to say to that, so he punched a hole in the drywall and left. It was the same story all the way down the line. None of the trainers had heard about Louvalis doing anything unusual. He loved integrating new tech into training programs, but nobody had ever complained. Certainly nobody like Kev, who had a long, lucrative NBA career to hang his hat on. When he wasn't digging, Kev took to the home gym. His body disgusted him. The weight wasn't melting off like it did when he was a 6'2", 14-year-old. The muscle wasn't building as fast either. He barely ate so he could cut pounds more quickly. At dinner, Michelle worried he was refusing his favorite foods he'd never tasted before in his life. He'd stopped cooking, a hobby he'd picked up from their off-season trips to Europe. One day, his son, Lucas, asked if Kev wanted to help him build his new computer. The parts had just been delivered. Kev says no, he doesn't have time. He had another meeting with his new agent. He'd fired the last one for suggesting that he stay retired. They're working on a comeback, says Kev. He tries not to look at Lucas. He can feel the memories shouting at him from a distance whenever he does. Michelle has been on him about that. She doesn't understand why he won't look at his son. So this time Kev pushes aside the fatherly feelings he can't understand and does his best to actually look at Lucas. He's tall for his age, taller every day, and long in the arms too. Michelle says he looks just like his dad. It's true. They could have been brothers. The computer will have to wait, Kev says. His son looks down and away but doesn't say anything else. Kev leaves right after dinner and drives to a well-kept court nearby. He comes back covered in sweat and dead mosquitoes and blood. He spent hours demolishing a crew of young amateurs who couldn't believe an NBA guy was there playing with them. Really there. They'd quit after Kev wouldn't stop berating a teammate for missing an open layup. He spent another 2 hours shooting by himself until the outdoor lights turned off. Nobody welcomes him home. The entire house is dead asleep. The computer parts are still on the kitchen table. Every night, Kev stays up late watching old clips from his games. It's a sick joke. The guy on screen has none of the fluidity Kev has, none of the brilliance or improvisation. It's some scrub in the body of a god. Kev counts the times he would have made a different decision, a better decision. He loses track once he's in the hundreds. One night, his inbox dings. It's an open tryout. Finally. He'd told his new agent he didn't care that nobody would sign him. Kev just needed his foot in the door. He would play his way onto the team from there. The assistant coach running the scrimmages played with Kev in his final years in the NBA. Kev remembers his face from draft scouting reports when he was in high school. He went in the second round after 4 years of college, already 22 years old, and barely played. Now there's some gray in that beard. Now there's some paunch under that belt. This guy never did shit, and now he's trying to coach? Kev grits his teeth and shakes his hand. They talk about the good old days while Kev warms up. Kev pulls a few memories from his fake life and lies about the rest. He's getting better at it. Then it's time to play. The scrimmage is a bloodbath. The young guys are too fast for him. Kev keeps getting burned, chasing them around screens. He switches onto an older guy, still 5 years younger than him. This guy is too strong. Kev tries to dig in and get low, but it's just physics. The other team starts hunting him for mismatches, putting the entire defense in rotation as they send a help defender for Kev's man. Still, they slap his back and dap him up as Kev gasps his way up and down the court. He's cutting hard down the baseline when his ankle pops. 2 of his teammates gingerly carry him off the court, scared he might shatter like some priceless artifact. The other players watch him go in silence. A week later, Kev sends a follow-up email to the assistant coach. He never hears back. Kev's wife watches him shoot baskets from the upstairs window. He had the local handyman come round and drill a backboard into the side of the house. The sound of dribbling weaves in and around the burbling stream. He's out there shooting free throws, still in his walking boot. He's out there every day before she leaves for work and stays out until after she gets home. He doesn't spend time with her or the kids outside of meals. She's worried, of course, but there's a limit to what she can say right now. He's never been a guy to respond to confrontation. He needs to open up, but all the things she usually does, they aren't working. As she watches, Lucas walks into the yard to watch Kev shoot. He's been doing that a lot lately. Kev doesn't notice him until, he's getting a ball and joining Kev. They shoot together for a few minutes, and even she can tell the kid isn't any good. He's tall like his dad, sure, but never shown an interest in the game. Kev stops shooting and calls Lucas over. She can't hear what they're saying. Kev adjusts Lucas's hands on the ball. She smiles. Okay, maybe this is what he needs. Kev walks down the streets of his old neighborhood. He gets a few looks, but it's for his height. Nobody asks for an autograph. Nobody knows him. Nobody remembers potential. The sumacs are 15 years broader than when he last saw them. The woods are just as lush. The ravine just as wide. You can barely see the court until you're standing right on top of it. It's the same as it was yesterday, 14 years ago. Cracked and pockmarked, weeds flourishing in the tablespoons of soil that fill a few craters near half court. Kev bounces his outdoor ball. His body hasn't been here in a long time. It's forgotten. The ball hits a clod of dirt and Kev reaches out, but he's too slow, too creaky. The ball rolls under the sumacs. Kev retrieves it. Free throw, swish. Teardrop layup, swish. Top of the key, swish. Corner three, swish. He's panting already, breathing what feels like pure humidity. What the fuck? 4 years of retirement and he's already some fucking YMCA scrub? Is that all you've got? Is it, old man? Step back, clank, spin off an imaginary screen, up fake, push shot, back rim. Sham God into reverse layup. He loses his dribble into the sumac again. Kev's blood is boiling. He's not even mad at Optimum for taking his body. Take it. Fucking take it. But don't tell me that's the best you can fucking do. Not even one all-star selection? Not even a real fucking starter? Wasting my fucking prime. He throws the ball against the backboard so hard that the old wood cracks. It bounces across the uneven pavement and comes to rest at a pair of brand new basketball shoes. Top of the line. Kev didn't spare any expense. Wearing those shoes is Lucas. He's staring at the ball as if it still has residual rage steaming off the pebbled surface. He looks up at Kev. Kev turns gritted teeth into a lopsided smile. Pick it up, kiddo. He stumbles through the word. The kid picks it up. Kev sees how awkward he is. Sees how he doesn't know how to move on a court. Sees that he doesn't even know how to dribble. But he also sees that the kid is already 6 feet tall with a 6'3" wingspan? Narrow frame that's good for cutting through traffic and navigating screens. That's what scouts look for these days. He'll be able to fly down court and stop on a dime as long as Kev gets him a good trainer. Potential. Maybe even more potential than Kev ever had. All right, he says. We'll start easy. 200 free throws, right now. But, Kev's son starts to say, but he shuts up when he sees Kev's face. 200 free throws. After the first hour, Kev has managed to twist and mold something resembling a proper shooting form into the kid. After hour 3, the kid stops complaining. He stops talking entirely, except to say, "Yes, coach," and no coach. After hour 7, Kev smiles. The moon in starlit court shines dark blue, but the kid's eyes are a deep matte black, no light reflecting from them. The eyes of a focused man, a focused player. Satisfied, Kev calls it, and the kid collapses. He carries him to the car. As Kev walks to the driver's side, he's already thinking of what's next. The AAU tournaments, state championships, Final Four, NBA MVP. He slams the door and turns to his son in the passenger seat. That was a warm-up. Tomorrow, we're going to be out here for 12 hours. I'll call school and tell them you're sick. Yes, Coach. The kid mumbles, already asleep. He won't remember saying it in the morning. He won't remember anything from the next few months besides the hundreds of hours of training. Kev reaches down and pulls off his son's shoes. In the dim glow of the car's interior light, he sees a red stain forming on the sole of his left sock. Kev prods the stain. His son whimpers and twitches in his sleep. Kev prods it again. The red stain spreads outward in a ragged circle, devouring the white cotton fibers. A faint smell of blood mingles with the stench of sweat in the car. Kev pulls away from the court. He can't help himself from smiling. For the first time since waking up, he feels like he has a second chance.
The Wrong Station is made possible with the generous support of our listeners on Patreon. Visit today at patreon.com/thewrongstation. You can also support us by leaving a rating and review on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever it is you tune into the show. This week's episode, Prospect, was written by Jacob Duarte Spiel. Thank you to Nicholas Reynolds, Paula, Ethan Roseman, Amy, Purple, Sparrow Dean, Hannah Brooks, Leslie, Strebo Jones, and Aziza for helping us keep the lights, well, off. The Wrong Station is co-produced by Alexander Saxton, Anthony Botello, and Jacob Duarte Spiel, with music composed and performed by Alon Citron and arranged for the viola and performed by Viola Schmidt. You can follow The Wrong Station on social media at The Wrong Station and email us at thewrongstation@gmail.com. And until next time, thank you for listening.